If Miami does not get to double-digit wins this season with Cam Ward at quarterback against this schedule, I don't know what to tell you. Welcome into the Voice of College Football, Miami. Of course, we go live every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time with Cam Underwood from State of the U. Please join us live and bring your comments, questions. We are marching through college football, looking at schedules, and we are determining percentage chance of victory in each game. This is not necessarily a prediction, but it is an odds factor that we've determined here at the Voice of College Football. Let's check out Miami against this 2024 schedule, considering that Miami does not play these teams in the ACC. 17 teams, meaning there are 16 possible opponents, and you only play 8 conference games. Therefore, Miami does not play Clemson, North Carolina State, UNC, BC, Pitt, Virginia, and then out of the newbies, no SMU, no Stanford in 2024. I have pegged just one game in which I consider Miami to be an underdog. At this point in the season, of course, much can change throughout the season. October 26th, Miami gave Florida State all it could handle in Tallahassee. Now they've got the Noles coming to Hard Rock. I give the Canes a 40% chance of winning. They've lost 3 consecutive games in the series. And this actually could be a rematch for the first time in history, in at least as 2 members of the ACC. Of course, in 2004, it was Miami against Florida State in the regular season and in the Orange Bowl, but they could play in the ACC championship game as the top 2 teams in the league make it to the title game. October 19th, I've got Miami with a better than 50-50 shot at winning against ACC championship game participant Louisville. New quarterback in Tyler Shook. Had a new coach last year coming in. Jeff Brom from Purdue did a heck of a job. And, of course, Louisville held off Miami inside the 5-yard line at Hard Rock last season to win by a touchdown. On August 31st, Miami goes to the Swamp to take on Florida. And this is how light this schedule is. The Gators, 5-7 last year, will struggle to get to 5 wins, you would think, this year with that brutal schedule, the toughest in college football. And I give Miami a 62% chance of winning, and this being the 3rd toughest game because of the talent factor on the Florida team. Because it's the opening game, Florida's still going to have hope. They will not have been beaten down at this point. Billy Napier on the hot seat entering this season, of course. And is it a bigger game for Miami or a bigger game for Florida? Well, I consider it a much bigger game for Miami if you consider them to be a college football playoff contender. We cannot envision in any such way that the Gators could navigate that schedule to contend for a college football playoff. It's a bigger game for Florida if you're just talking survival and setting a tone for the rest of the year. Miami loses this game, they can still recover, win the ACC, and be fine. If Florida loses this game, there are few opportunities for W's on the schedule. Again, give the Canes a 62% chance of leaving the Swamp with a win on the final day of August. On September 27th, Miami's got a difficult matchup against Virginia Tech. The Hokies, one of the top teams in college football returning production, including quarterback Kyron Drones. He accounted for 22 touchdowns last year against just 5 interceptions. Give the Canes a 65% chance of winning at home in a rivalry matchup against the Hokies. Then they take that trip October 5th all the way cross country. I believe this has to be the longest trip that Miami has taken since 2001 and 2002 postseason dates against Nebraska and Ohio State in the Rose Bowl in, of course, Pasadena, and the Fiesta Bowl in Arizona. The Cal defense is actually going to be pretty darn good this year. They've got a lot of returning production, top quality players, but give Miami a 67% chance of winning. But again, difficult traveling cross country to take on Cal. They've got a date in Atlanta against Georgia Tech, and as long as Miami remembers to kneel down and makes that correct call late at the game, they should win this one. Georgia Tech can thank Miami for that botched play, because otherwise Georgia Tech would have went 5-7. Otherwise, they went 6-6, went to a bowl game, defeated UCF, so it had a perception of being a successful season for Georgia Tech at 7-6, but it was just that close to being 5-7. The 2 teams get together on November 9th. 3 weeks later, Miami concludes the 2024 season at Syracuse. We'll see if they have anything to play for. Syracuse probably won't. New head coach Fran Brown comes in from Georgia. They've got a new quarterback in Kyle McCord from Ohio State. Give the Canes a 78% chance of going to the Carrier Dome with a win. To begin the month, they take on Duke and old friend Manny Diaz, who's back as a Power 4 head coach after a successful defensive coordinator stay in Happy Valley. New quarterback from Texas and Malik Murphy. He is a physical specimen, could have a big year. It's an intriguing team at Duke. Wake Forest is depleted. We've got so much respect for Dave Clawson and what he's done at Wake Forest, but they are much the same football team that they were in 2023 when they went 4-8. This is a mismatch on paper. Wake with a new starting quarterback in Hank Bachmeier coming in. The former Boise State quarterback last toiled at Louisiana Tech in 2023. That game in mid-November at Hard Rock. Trip to USF in Tampa to take on the Bulls on September 21st. Let's not forget, Bama took that trip last year, and they struggled to come away with a win. They had a deficit in the fourth quarter against the Bulls, and USF was much improved last year at 7-6 with the bowl win against Syracuse. And then, of course, we've got the September dates against Ball State and against Florida A&M that are basically scrimmages. Consider the Ball State game at a 97% winning probability for Miami. They took on a MAC school last year, much better than Ball State in Miami of Ohio, and pummeled the Red Hawks 35-3. And again, Florida A&M, that typical scrimmage game for the Canes. So if the Canes hold serve, they go 11-1. If they trip up once, they go 10-2. Trip up twice, they still go 9-3, and that's a substantial improvement in their best record in 7 seasons. So Miami's got a lot of leeway in this schedule. They do not have to play Clemson in particular, and North Carolina State. And, of course, North Carolina has been a bugaboo for the Canes. They do not have to face Carolina Blue. Your thoughts about Miami football down in the comments section and our percentage chances of winning right here at the Voice of College Football. And we'll see you on Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Voice of College Football, Miami.